Yo, right on, everybody. Oh my gosh, I want to start at 2:30. I started at 3, but that's because I needed to make some lunch. I hadn't eaten until noon, and then I had to spend time with Brad. What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing over in Farkle Land? I hope everybody's having a great Friday. I'm having a great Friday. It's been awesome. This is a nice way to end it. This is the last thing I'm going to do today before I take Sarah out for, I don't know, something involving food and beverages or whatever, because Catherine's hanging out with her friends. That's all good. Welcome to Farkle Friday. I'm doing good this year. I think I'm like 4 out of 5 weeks I'm doing it. Yeah, I saw you were on your second old fashioned. Let me join you, man, because why not, right? I already had, this is my second gin and tonic. I had one with Brad, and then when I made my food, yeah, man, I had my my second one, so now we're gonna go with bourbon because why not? Because it's Farkle Friday, and this is actually a request from a long time ago by a guy over at Modernity Sucks, which is Headshots area. He was like, "When are you gonna do an EIS thing? When are you gonna do an EIS thing?" And I said, "I'll get to it." And then, you know, life got in the way and this, that, and the other. And finally, I was like, I called my old instructor, my buddy Craig Sharmat, and I was like, I should do one of these things. And he got back to me. He's like, yeah, just do one. He gave me some good ideas. This is just a fun thing about like different ways to think about music. This is going to be a little bit more of a theory kind of thing. Although, like all things Farkle, there will be real music that has been really written and stuff. But first, a cheers to everybody for 2022, and I hope to God that things continue to go well. There are parts of the world today that are not going very well, and I don't want to get into that because that is very sad. And that's, you know, sometimes we can't change anything right now, and it's not about ignoring the problems, but it's about actually embracing the things that are good in life, because there's a lot that is good in life. So, how's everybody doing? Good? Everyone's rocking and rolling? we are going to, I'm all over the place, not in terms of my organization, but in terms of I've got PDFs, I've got Sibelius files, I've got Spotify, like just everything is just all over the place. Today is not going to be a roast, but I'll tell you the reason why. Is because I was actually chatting with Brad. Today we're just catching up. We've gotten ourselves back. We lost about 4 months of time where he was working and I was working. And oh Jesus, Lazar literally just said, "I know you've got a topic plan because you do a transcription." I'm like, "Oh God, all right, maybe we'll see. We'll okay, I'll give it a shot. Well, maybe. Don't bully me." So, but Brad and I were talking. We're gonna have a probably a campfire hang next week, probably over on his channel, and then we're gonna have a fun roast / breakdown. And I've got a list of Farkle Fridays. I'm super excited because I just finished a webinar for ThinkSpace. That is, Rob Thomas is gonna love this. It is about film scoring, but it's about spotting the film. It's not about the language. It's about figuring out where the music goes and why. And I just was like, I can't believe I haven't done this yet. I just went on a bonkers Goldsmith kick for this particular webinar. It was like Total Recall, I think Alien's in there, and this legendary score. Finally. God, he's good. He's so good. No, Lazar, it's totally cool, man. I like you know me, I love transcribing. It's all good stuff. So oh yeah, right, man. We're doing a oh yeah, dude. We're doing a fuck all. We're doing a fuck all Goldsmith Farkle Friday in about a month. I'm gonna just fucking throw all this. Like, I've got some reductions that I've done just to figure out the hell Goldsmith is doing. We're gonna have some fun with him. We're gonna. I can't believe I haven't done him yet. And everyone was like, "You haven't done Horner?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know that much Horner. I know like 4 or 5 of his scores, and I like them, but I haven't dug deep. Like Jerry, I've dug deep. Rob and I have dug deep into Jerry, but that's a conversation for another time. Yeah, man. Basic Instinct. So everyone, if you don't know, Omni Music Publishing just has all of his scores. I mean, I got Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I've got Total Recall. I've got Basic Instinct. I've got Alien, but that's a slightly different story because I don't think it's a digital copy, and I don't think it's supposed to be. So yeah, dude, we're gonna get some Goldsmith. Because man, the more I get into him, Rob's on right now, and he's a really, really talented composer, really good string player too. And we go through stuff, and we look at like some of the oh, Rob, don't worry. There's guys that have done breakdowns of Total Recall like on YouTube. Hi Emily, how are you, my dear? All right, we're gonna jump in with this. Let's not fart around. We'll talk about Goldsmith in about a minute or two more. But Rob and I have done a little bit of just a little bit of hesitation. I love how grumpy he was in that. He's doing a cue from the River Wild, and he says that he's like, there's a 5/8 into 3/4, so it's 1 2 3 4 5 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 2 3 4 5 1 and 2 and 3 and he finishes the cue. It's all like, and first of all, you watch him conduct, and he's like. And he's got this like Stravinsky time breakdown, which is super cool. And he finishes the cue and he kind of just chewing his lip at the score. And he's like, and then one of the percussionists is like, "Yeah, we didn't catch it." "Yeah, we sure didn't, Rob." He's just like, he's pulling no punches. He's like, we're a little hesitant coming out of the 5/8 into the 3/4. I was like, who the hell writes like that nowadays? It's like, but that's a conversation for another time. Yeah, man. But you know the best part is, it wasn't personal brutal. It was like kind of one of these, I know you can do it. We're just not there yet. And I think that's pretty cool. It's The River Wild. It's a 1994 action adventure. It's actually, I think, one of his hidden gem scores. I wish I could find a score of it because it's some really beautiful stuff. Plus, he uses a Protestant Christian hymn as a main theme, which is an absolutely beautiful theme. It's "The Water is Wide." The water is wide, I cannot see, da 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 da. Because it's good stuff, man. Jerry expected a lot out of himself and others, man. It's good stuff. Hey, that's for the Jerry thing. All right, we're getting into EIS here. Let's go to the main screen. See what we got going on here. Can everyone hear all that? See all that? It's gonna be good stuff. There's some great new footage. Wait, Rob. All right. Well, let's have 2 more minutes of Jerry. Wait a second. Really? They found some old recording footage of him recording? What was he doing at Abbey Road? Was it No, it wasn't Supergirl. It was probably something like 13th Warrior or like The Mummy or something like that, right? Back when Hollywood was starting to fuck themselves over with Lazard, that might very well be right, which was Maurice Jarre used the thing, and then got fired and then it got left in. That might very well be it. Ignore this right now. This is not a big deal. Emily's happy because the mummy is what like aced her animation assignment, you know? Let me see what we got here. I gotta do this. Oh shoot, I gotta do that thing. Hold on, wait, I gotta do that thing. This makes life so much easier, right? Wait. Change the scale to... Thanks, Kyle, good catch. I gotta do this. Right? Now everything's like a lot better, right? Yeah, that's much better. Okay, cool. Things I do for you guys and girls. All right, so let's dive in. Let's have some fun here. All right. Yeah, there he goes. Is that a little better? Like you can see things now, right? You can kind of see. Don't worry, we're gonna. Plus, I'm gonna zoom in the score when I get to it. Like, look over here when I get to this. Look, that's that. Oh, that's plenty big. You're all fine. Stop whining. Oh, stop whining. Yeah, Mummy's really good. That was the beginning of the end for Jerry in terms of he was starting to get the new sound was coming in, the Trevor Rabin, Hans Zimmer sound, and Jerry was having trouble, you know, kind of being relevant, which is sad. All right, but that's neither here nor there. We're not here to talk about this. We're here to talk about equal interval system. You've probably heard me talk about this for like, you know, probably a year or two about this whole equal interval system. Well, basically, long and short is this: it's a system of horizontal composition. A system of yeah, and it was invented by a guy named Lyle Spud Murphy. Spud is a nickname. And before, here's this: it's another one of these, you know. Everybody's like, "Whoa, what's the secret?" It's a system of thinking about music, you know. And then, so there, it's a system of thinking about music. Is it linear horizontal composition? Linear horizontal. So the Matt, one of my senior students is here too. What's up, Matt? Wait, what did I miss, Matt? Is it linear? Look, don't take my word for it. Oh yeah, system of horizontal composition based on equal intervals. There it is. That's it. There it is. Okay. Based upon equal intervals. So first, let's have a little fun and talk about Spud, because Spud's awesome, but I'm not going to be lazy. And why have me do it when... So just to let you know, by the way, Laurie is a graduate of the equal interval system. Matt is like a year away, maybe, from graduate. He's like real high up in it. But yeah, system making music stuff. So a little bit about Spud Murphy. This is kind of a cool thing. First off, he was named Miko Stefanovic, born to Serbian refugee or parents in Berlin, Germany, and he grew up in Salt Lake City, where he took the name of a childhood friend, Lyle, nicknamed Spud Murphy. He studied clarinet and saxophone when he was young, and he took trumpet lessons from Red Nichols' father. He was actually a really quality trumpet player. He did all this stuff, saxophonist and arranger. Because remember, back in the 30s and 40s, you could get a job as an arranger, which was you would take tunes that were on the radio or that were popular songs, and you would arrange them for whatever ensemble was the dance band ensemble of the day. Much of Spud's work is what he calls adaptation, which is you want to do this particular song, you have two trumpets and two trombones. How do you pick the right chord tones so that you can actually make it sound correct? He became a staff arranger for Benny Goodman from 1935 to 1937. So he played with some... Oh, Benny's a good-looking guy. From 1937 to 1940, Murphy led a big band and recorded for Decca Records and Bluebird. He moved to Los Angeles, where he worked in studios and film music. He recorded 2 jazz albums in the 1950s, but his later career was focused on classical and film music. In the film world, Murphy was staff composer and arranger for Columbia Pictures. He worked on over 50 films, including the Tony Fontaine story, which I have some cues from. What do you mean the audio sounds like I'm gargling Listerine? I'm calling a nice... What are you talking about? It's super clean. Why is John being... All right, tell me if or am I just talking fast? Maybe I'm just talking fast. In addition to being a talented composer, arranger, and musician, let me know if my audio is crappy, because I don't know why it would be. It's coming in at a nice level and it's all set up. and he wrote over 26 books on various topics, such as music theory. His crowning achievement was his 12-volume course in composing, arranging, and orchestration for the professional musician called The Equal Interval System. It's John. He's in... All right. Oh, good, Peter, you made it. Spud taught mostly in Los Angeles, but also a special course, blah, blah, blah. He was an instructor who was voted Educator of the Year in 1990, and he died about 15 years ago. I was unlucky enough to never meet him. He was also one of the first directors of ASMAC, the American Society of Musicians and Composers. And yeah, that's on you, John. You probably have your VST Connect going, sir, and that's probably causing trouble. He was one of the first directors of the ASMAC, which if you know what ASMAC is and you're a composer who wants to learn in Hollywood how to actually arrange, and it is a little whiskey, I'm a couple drinks in. It's one where like Scott Healy moderates it. Scott Healy is the arranger for Conan O'Brien's house band. So it's like, the ASMAC guys are the ones who really deal with notes and things on a page. The equal interval system is a modern system of music composition developed by Lyle Murphy. Many notable composers and arrangers have been students. Some of these names, if you're in the industry, you'll know they're just workhorse guys. Jimmy Haskell, David Blumberg, Don, Laurie, who's the guy who passed away? Del Hake. Look up David Blumberg and Del Hake, and you're like, oh my God, they worked on like top TV shows and stuff. Our own guy, Craig Sharmat, who trained me and trained Laurie. Jim Venable, if you've looked him up, he's one of the top TV animating composers. Oscar Peterson studied several volumes. Jerry Goldsmith studied volumes 1 and 2 because he bought the book. And he was a dude. So anyways, what is the equal interval system? Well, we're going to get into musical stuff right here, but look, there it is. Yay. So there's Spud with a recording session. It's kind of cool. Yeah, man, there's some legit guys. Herbie Hancock also studied privately with Spud, and Quincy Jones looked at book 4 of the 12-volume book, which deals with extended intervals, fourths and fifths. And I think his quote was like, "This book is one of the most important books in jazz arranging and composition ever written." That's kind of cool. So Oscar Peterson and Quincy Jones both studied. There's a biography of Spud where you can see Oscar say, yes, now studied like 6 months of a lot of these composers, when you get to a certain level, and performers, you're like 45 years old, you're touring, you're gigging, you don't have the ability to go deep into like this is a 900-page course. I mean, these are 12 volumes. Each volume is that. So it's chunky. But what you do is, Rob and I do this, and Matt and I do this. We we get together and we just swap ideas and well, yeah, the link is right here, equalintervalsystem.com. There is no book. It's all private lessons for a lot of reasons, which we'll get into in a bit. But the first thing you can do is you can get some stuff from, man, look at that old jazz dance band. That's good stuff. Yeah, and yep, there it is. There's Dave Blumberg, Quincy Jones, and Spud Murphy. And Dave Blumberg is a graduate of the equal interval system. So this is, yeah, man. And so that's Spud. Now, this is just a fun little overview and a couple of cool concepts that you can use today as an equal interval dude. Yeah, man, like Lyle was in, and when you get into his later stuff, his later parts of equal interval system, which he was writing in the 50s and 60s, because he was doing a lot of arranging over at like Columbia and like I think at CBS and stuff. You start hearing stuff where you're like, oh man, that was in Star Trek. Oh man, that was in Kojak, and you're like, oh, because they're all running around the same recording studios, and they would hear, these guys all have great ears, and they'd hear something maybe from like one of Spud's arrangements, and they're like, oh man, what was that? And they kind of like bang it out, and they'd be like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, there's something called the theory of total dissonance, which I use for horror cues. And when you hear it, you're like, oh man, that was used in Star Trek for like, various things. Yeah, Lauren Blumberg did the famous string melody in I Will Survive. So The equal interval system, here's the blurb, is an instructional course in music composition, arranging, and orchestration. It's the expression of Lyle Spud Murphy's musical theory based upon his observations of the harmonic series or the overtones, along with decades of applying his methods to film scores, TV scores, arrangements, and original recordings. Yay. His method employs horizontal composition utilizing music intervals and many other unique concepts which also encompass traditional music thought. The system can be used to organize the sound of any historical period while providing a basis for new and unique sounds, possible 12 equal intervals. Achieving success, graduates find they compose better, faster, with fewer mental blocks. How do we do this? Well, I'll do one more blurb of Lyle because he wrote some really great stuff. Let me get to the spot I want to talk about. A musical system, if it is to have any value, must have a unifying principle. The conventional system does this through use of key, which stresses the strong intervals. But the patterns from one which has to work are limited and have been exploited to the point of exhaustion. So modern writing is a mixture of diatonic patterns, right, liberally sprinkled with experiments by the composer. And these do not always gel, as there is no real unifying principle involved. The unifying principle of our system, is the use of equal intervals plus upper partials, and the patterns are therefore unlimited. This unifying principle this method is not experimental, since it has proved completely successful on numerous recordings and in television and motion picture scores. That's what I want to take away from this. Having said that, let's jump into it. So yeah, this was a waste of time. Let's go to the videotape. This is gonna be a teaching session. This is gonna be fun. Here. So, don't worry about this. This is me trying to haphazard do a piece that I was doing. Oh, my friend Rob, we're gonna have some fun with this. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you what we're gonna do here. So, when he says strong intervals, all right, here we go. Hold on a sec here. Let me zoom out a little bit so we can actually see what the fuck all we're doing. Let me go to panorama, and I'm gonna keep this because I might use this in about 20 minutes. Let's. Oh yeah, as I said, Matt's a senior student. He's about to graduate, and Lori just graduated. These guys are gonna chime in with some shit. Let's start. First of all, can everyone see this decently well? We're gonna see a lot of written notes. Rob, I'm gonna answer your question first. First, the whole point of equal intervals starts with the overtone series, right? Yeah, Matt and Lori, chime in and fix the shit that I do wrong, okay? And all right, so look, here's the overtone series, right? You know what? Why am I going to do it when I'm going to actually have a graph? Cool. Boom. There it is. All right. The overtone series. Come on. Boom. There it is. All right. So look what happens here. When you press a C, all right. Now look, Rob's going to know this because he's a violin player. That note, when you play it on a violin, is not the only note you're playing. The board of the violin and the strings are resonating, and so there are these upper partials that are reinforcing harmonics, because if you play a C by itself with no overtones, you get a sine wave. So what creates the sound of the piano is all these overtones, and the overtones reinforce up this thing. So look what it is. If I press the C, the first overtone is an octave, the second one is a fifth, third one is a fourth, third, etc., etc. All right. So I'm going to do the first part of this. The lower the intervals are to the fundamental, the stronger they are. Okay? So what does that mean? Well, obviously the strongest interval is an octave, which is why octaves sound great, because they are reinforcing each other. That's been acoustically proven through the acoustical physics of this, right? There it is. There's the octave. What's the next one? The fifth. Okay. Well, why do power fifths sound great? Because they are reinforcing each other. But if it's vertical, it can also be horizontal. And the further we move left, the stronger the linear motion. Remember, this is a system of linear horizontal composition. What does that mean? Well, an octave drop, which is the first drop, look, partial number 2 to partial number 1. That's the best. You're my best friend, right? Why does that sound so good? Because it's the most physically stable horizontal jump from interval 2 or partial 2 or overtone 2 down to overtone 1. What's the next strongest one? Perfect fifth. Why is the perfect fifth so strong? Well, it's the resolution of tension. Well, it's because you're going from a higher overtone to a lower overtone, and it's the second most strongest one. What's the third one? Well, the third one is a C to a G. That's a fourth. Why does circle of fourths happen as much as circle of fifths? Almost. Because it's the third most common. All right? So now, I'm going to jump to book 6 right now, okay? And this is a conversation for another time. In jazz, and there's a whole reason for this, you can swap a chord, a tritone apart, if it has a dominant function. So if I'm going C to F to G to dominant 7 to C, that G is important because there's a tritone in there, which is an F and a B, and it resolves. But you know what else also has a G and a D? Is a chord a tritone away, which is a D flat dominant 7, which resolves down a half step, Rob. So what Spud said was there's 2 of the strongest intervals out there. The diatonic fifth is the strongest melodically, but you can swap that for the tritone apart, which is a single semitone drop, and that's the strongest melodically, because melody is based upon half step and whole steps, by and large. So Spud is saying the strong intervals can be an E1, which we'll get to in a second, which is a semitone drop. But what he's also saying is, as you're building up your arrangements, the idea of fifths and fourths as lower intervals with thirds and seconds up in the higher register reinforces acoustical physics. So that's a conversation for a different time. Yeah, I'm literally giving you like books 1 through 4 in like this much space. So, you know, like this is an overview. So this is a conversation that can go more in depth. But all right, so that hopefully, you know, all right, so let's talk about this. Here's the part about the equal interval system that I think is so cool. Let's do this. We're just gonna have some fun here. Let's do a circle of fifths progression. So I'm gonna do a C to F to B flat to E flat to A flat, right? I'm just gonna do that. All right. And you do all this stuff, and it's like, how do we voice lead it? And we just kind of do this like C to an F to a B flat to an E flat to an A flat. This is pretty easy, right? That's pretty easy, pretty straightforward, right? Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do circle of fifths. I'm gonna make it easier. I'm gonna do a diatonic progression, right? I'm gonna do a C to an E to an F to a D to a G to a C. And in EIS, we're not in a key. These are called root tones. And I'm not gonna get too into this because this when I say I'm not getting into this could get this is like kind of the first 4 lessons that I'm kind of trying to play around with. All the root tone is based upon the laws of overtone series is this is that lowest note in that partial, and then everything's gonna be built over that. So maybe this is a C to an E to an F to a D. That's a nice diatonic phrase. All right. Yeah, Matt's gonna chime in. He's pretty nerdy about this stuff, so he's gonna be good for this. And we're going from like a C to an E minor to an F to a D minor to a G to a C. All right, and I actually deliberately screwed things up there. So you kind of fudge your way through it. And you read Bach stuff, and you talk about doubling the thirds and all this stuff. All right, let's have some fun with this. Spud's idea is a system of horizontal composition. Okay, so now we're gonna go back and we're gonna. All right. Actually, I'll make these half notes. All right. under each of these, I'm going to put the root tone. I'm not even going to worry about this. Let's assume we're all in the key of C, okay? So now, here's what's cool about this. And this is how we sketch in EIS. We actually put our root tones down, and then later on we actually put our scales. But our scales, that's a whole nother conversation because we use scales, but we use numbers because we have to fit all this stuff in our sketches. Don't worry, I'm going to show you some sketches that I've done. All right. This is just letting me know where my roots are. And by the way, I don't see why, even if you don't do EIS, why don't you just write the stuff like that? Like if you're doing a series of base notes, just write them down below. Who cares? When you come back a couple days later, you can just go, all right, that's what I'm doing. So now what I do is, let's say, this is great if it's keyboard, but let's say that these are 3 strings, right? Okay. Well, let's say, for example, I'm doing 3 strings like this. It's a beautiful C chord. And I want to voice lead these through. All right, well, here's what I do. I know that this is going to be this. I start counting intervals above the root, okay? This E is a third above the C. This C is a 1 or an 8. We call it 1 because we try and get the smallest numbers possible. And the G is a 5. All right, cool. So what I do is I take the first note. And I do this, right? And then I write, Matt and Laura, are you guys getting PTSD from like book 2? You'll see in a sec here. I read a 3. And the reason I read a 3 is this is my cue that this is a third, a major third, because I don't do flats and sharps because you'll find out why in a sec. This is a third above the root. Now here's the big thing. Yeah, man, ask Matt. Nobody wants to annotate. And then I tell them to do it. And then they do it and they're like, fuck, why didn't I do this? And here's why, because in book 2, it's like, this is really easy. Then you get to book 6 where you've got 2 keys happening at the same time, one in your left hand, one in your right. Then you get put to 11 where you're not even dealing with scales anymore. You're just dealing with equal intervals. And it's like, this is fuck all hard. So watch this. Here's the big takeaway from this, okay? You'll see what I'm saying in a second here. If the root tone ascends, the position descends, and vice versa. There is not an exception, but there is a rule, which is the root tone has to ascend in the smallest possible direction, because as Matt and Laurie know, they'll be like, oh, when you do a perfect 5th, then it doesn't work. And it's like, well, it does, but you have to go the smallest, as long as you know what you're doing. Yeah, man, book 6. My buddy Chris, who finished book 5. And by the way, a lot of people don't graduate EIS, and that's not a bad thing. Believe me, when you're done with, in my opinion, when you're done with book 4, you have enough to basically do Jerry Goldsmith for the rest of your life. And book 6 is what helps you do a lot of John Williams stuff. But book 4 is brutal. It's harmony in 4ths and 5ths, and you've got polytonal dominant 4th chords in there. And then book 6 is literally this hand's playing in one key, this one's playing in another, and here's how you do it. It's freaking brutal. That's getting into edge cases. So let's think about this. This is going to help out here. I'm just gonna voice this stack of triads for the sake of us. Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly, Matt. It's like, do whatever you want. This top note is an E. It's a third above the C, the root. The middle note's a C. That's the root 1. Bottom note's the 5th. So that stack right there, you can represent numerically. Just a 3, 1, 5. It's a third, a root, and a 5th above whatever root, in this case C, right? All right. So my root tone is ascending. And you're going to see this fun little thing here. It is going up. Sorry about the drawing, but hey, you asked for this. It is going up, and in equal interval words, a semitone is not a minor second. It's an E1, an equal interval 1 jump. That is the smallest unit of motion. Okay? So that C, whoops, went up in E4. It went up E1 plus, whoops, E1, E2, E3, E4. Oh, let me get the keyboard going. Sorry, there's a lot of shit going on here. This is why they pay me the big bucks. Here we go. So where are you? So it starts on the C and goes up in E1, 2, E3, E4. So it's an E4 ascending root tone, right? Okay. So if the root tone ascends, the position descends. What that means is, look at this stack. This note that is the third of the C needs to become the 1 of the next one. Why? Because it's going down this stack. The 3 of the C needs to become the 1 of the E. And I'm not going to put the notes in yet. I'm going to actually show you this. Okay? Now let's go to the next one. E goes up in E1 to F. Right? This is an E1 ascent to F. The position of the bass ascends. So the note position has to descend. Well, we've gotten as low as we can with 1, so now we go down to 5. Don't worry if you get to the 5. If the 5 happens, you just loop back around to the 3. All right, so 5. Now we go back to here. The F drops to a D. The root tone descends, so the position ascends. We go back to 1. But again, it's not the 1 of C. It's the 1 of the root tone. The root tone is D. All right, D goes up to G. That means we descend. And I'm going to make this a little easy. I'm going to send it there. And it ascends again. Now we're at the 5. When we get to the bottom, we descend. The 5 rolls up and goes back to the 3. All right? All right, no problem. Now watch this. I'm not going to put a single note in yet. All right. So look, I've got this opening chordal stack. Let's go to the next one. We started with a 3. And by the way, Spud could do this. If you do this, you can walk onto a chart on stage and literally write line by line, you know, thing by thing. Okay? Where, Peter? 3 to 1 to 5. So from 3 to 1 to 5, and then back to 1. Oh yeah, why? Why not to 3? Because look at the stack that's being built. 3, 1, 5. My bass was ascending to F, so my position went down. Now my bass descended to D. If the root tone descends, then the position ascends. 5 has to ascend to 1, which is the next closest one. It is. Actually, you know, I'll tell you this right now. This has a lot of similarities to Hindemith's theory of composition and Hindemith's theory of music. There's a lot. People are always like, well, this is just some sort of snake oil thing. And I was like, it's not a snake oil thing. It's a guy who's been in the industry doing it. But they're like, well, does this have any basis? I was like, yeah, go read Hindemith and it's like darn close. Yeah, it depends on the start. It depends on the start voicing, Peter. Exactly. Because it's about not inversions, because we don't call them inversions, it's about positions. But let's do the next one here. Watch, I'm not even going to do this with any notes. All right. So the second note was a C. Cool. So C starts with a 1. Cool. That's why you see a lot of notes in EIS sketches. You'll see it. C goes to E. Position goes up. 1 has to go down in the stack. This is very basic. This is triadic. We haven't even gotten to... Yeah, Jan's right. Hindemith's book is legit. Like, if you don't like his music, which I actually like a decent amount of his music, I don't like it all, but it's the stuff that's good is really good. He was prodigious in his output. And all his output was quality. You may not like it, but it was never shit. It was always good. And Hindemith, just because this is really close to Hindemith stuff. It's just Spud is kind of working through a jazz context. So if you don't want to do this, just go read Hindemith's book and you'll be like 80% there. All right, so Yeah, Matt's gonna cover for me while this is going on. So check it out. Base goes up, position goes down. I'm just doing this to be a shortcut because you can, by the way, see this was a written thing. This is back then, but it's actually fast, which is why I write my scores now. It's faster for me to do it this way than to like copy and paste and copy and paste. E goes up to F, position goes down. This one went position down from the 1 of C to the 5 of E to the 3 of F. Right? Right? Yep. Make sure I'm doing this right. 1 of C to the 5 of E to the 3 of F. Yep. Now we go backwards, so it goes back up to the 5 of D because it is position change. Now look, this right here is a full like 1 hour lesson. Kind of, Lazar. And I've studied Stravinsky. He was one of my guys in my master's thesis. He was dealing with sets of notes. These are interval relations based upon linear horizontal progression. So, kind of, but by the way, it's funny, we're talking about this. This is lesson 1 of book 2. Book 1 is 4 lessons, and it's kind of like a whole, do you know jazz theory? That's what book 1 is. It's like, here's scales, here are modes, here's scales, here are modes, here's lower range so that your arrangements aren't crappy, and here is registers. This is lesson 1 of book 2 in EIS, of which there are probably about, so this is page 35 of a 1,200 page composition thing. So you're like, oh yeah, this is what Stravinsky's doing. I'm like, yeah, we're in lesson 5 of EIS, and we're doing this. So, but here's why. Watch this. All right, so 3-5, D goes up to G. So Matt, Laurie, check me because I'm like drinking, so I want to make sure I don't screw this up. That's correct, and that's correct. You'll see what's going on here. Watch this. All right, and now we finish. Here's the stack, 3-1-5. So we start with the 5. And I'm just shortcutting this because you're starting to see what's going on here. All right, and this goes to 3. I'm kind of skipping around, but that's because you learn. That's why book 2 is brutal, because you drill this for about 6 months. You basically just drill. Everyone's like, why is book 2 like? Basically, Spud has you go through every combination and drill this shit. It's basically like a monster ear training course. All right, well, what does that mean? Watch this. Ready? All right, so now I've got these numbers. What does that mean? All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the 3 of C. I'm sorry. The 1 of E, the 5 of F, the 1 of D, 5 of G, the 3 of C. Cool. Now I'm going to play the 1 of C, the 5 of E, 3 of F, the 3 of D, the 5 of D, sorry, the 3 of G, and the 1 of C. All good voice leading, right? And, oh shoot, I have to do this. Let me delete this now. All right, now I'm going to do 5 of C, the 3 of E, the 1 of F, yep, 3 of D, the 1 of G, and the 5 of C. All right, ready? Let's hear it. There, I just did voice leading. Never had to worry about playing a single chord. I just check. And look, every single stack, the 3rd, the root, the 5th, the root, the 5th, the 3rd, it's a balanced chord. So no parallel 5ths. There's no, right? Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. Whatever, man. Watch this. I'm going to take the same. If the root tone ascends, the position descends, and vice versa. Watch this. All right. I'm gonna do that. This is the one that drives Matt nuts in a good way. Give me a sec. I gotta go to filter. So you're like, okay, cool. Well, the triad's always balanced. You always see the third, the root, and the fifth. Yeah, totally cool. It's all good. All right. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna start on C. I'm going to do the same directions, but completely non-tonal stuff. C to E flat to E major to D flat. And I got to do an F sharp. There. Notice I'm just doing the shape of the same shape. Yeah, Kyle, this comes into substitute tones, which is going to be next. All right, so look, this is now C to E flat. So look, it's going up. So 3 goes to 1. E flat goes to E, so 1 loops around to 5. E goes down to D flat, so 5 goes up to 1. D flat goes to D natural, which is up, so 1 goes down to 5. D goes to C, so 5 has to go up to 1. Let me do this. Right? Is that right, Matt and Lori? Right? Because it went up. Okay, cool. Look, this is very atonal, or this is very non-diatonic, but watch this. All right, I'm in C. 3 of C, 1 of E flat, cool. 5 of E, 1 of D flat, 5 of D, 3 of F sharp. Here we go. All right. If I missed one, it's because I didn't count the intervals right. 1 of C, 5 of A flat. Or sorry, 5 of E flat. Look at my voice setting; it's smooth. 3 of 5 of E flat, 3 of E, 5 of D flat, common tone, right? It'll be that, but it's the same thing. We'll do that just to be, for the purists. 3 of D natural and 1 of F sharp. Cool. 5 of C, 3 of E flat, 1 of E, 3 of D flat, 1 of D, and 5 of F sharp. Totally non-diatonic. I applied the same rule. There. I just applied the same rule in voice sled any triad to any other triad. That's lesson 1 of EIS. Sure, man. Sure. Just change to minor. Watch this. Here. I'll do it in minor. Just make this a -3. Right? It's going to work the same way because it's intervals above the. It's whether it's a third or a minor third. It doesn't matter. It's the third above in the overtone series. So watch. I'm just going to change. I'm going to change a couple to minor. Okay, just for fun. Why not? And now you understand, Jan, why I was talking about it doesn't matter what scale you put over the roots in when I did that whole modal interchange thing. So this is a, oh look, I'm gonna make this an E flat. So now look, it's a common tone, that's beautiful. I'll make this a -3, that's what you use in EIS, so it's a G minor. Look how fast this is, it's so fucking fast. It's just like whatever, dude. Now here, there, I just added minor triads every other one. There's voice let anywhere. Look, that's it. This is the heart of EIS, in my opinion. And I'll start showing you some cues that I do. 9th, 11th, 13th, it's the same rules. This whole up and down triad thing works no matter what partial you do. So I literally can do things like this. God, it's hard for me to play because I've been drinking. But I can do stuff where it's like I literally did a 7th, 9th, 11th structure over a descending E2 line, and I just voice lit it just like this, and that was it. And by the way, that kind of shit you're hearing like Billy Joel, right? I just did it in like 3 seconds. So that's it. So that's you can use this right now. And notice this, no matter where I move, I've always got a third, a root, and a fifth. I've always got a root, a fifth, and a third. For you triadic nerds, which we all are because we're cinematic composers, your chord's always balanced. And there's no real parallel fifths. Maybe there's a parallel fifth here or there, a parallel fourth. But it doesn't matter because the chord is always balanced. All right? And so is this just a great system to get voice leading right? Hi, Jake. Actually, lesson 1 of book 2 is a great system to get voice leading right. There's about 200 lessons after this because now it's about the second part of it, which is substitute tones. All right. So this is the one thing about EIS. And here's the thing. This always happens, which is, oh, well, this is so easy. It's just you ever heard the Columbus paradox, the Columbus egg paradox? This is the one that this is where I get a little bit spicy. So here this is a famous one of these. All right, the Columbus. It's an extremely rare puzzle. All right, so this is a great one. Columbus challenged the members of the royal court to stand an ordinary egg on its end in such a way that it would not fall over. No one can do it. Columbus then shook the egg so hard that the yolk broke and it flowed to the bottom, which allowed the egg to settle. And then the court literally said, "Oh, well, that's so easy. Anybody could have done that." And he said, "Once you've been shown the way, it's easy for others to follow. But the first to make the discovery should be honored and respected." Everybody says the same thing when they see this. "Oh, it's so fucking easy. Anybody could have done it." Yeah, but you didn't do it. You didn't do it, and now you got it, and it's fucking easy, and now you can do whatever you want. So, like, don't dismiss it because you've been around for 25, 30, 40 years and you didn't figure this out, right? And it's not about Spud so brilliant, although I think he is brilliant. It's about, man, this is a really elegant way to solve your voice leading problems. Yeah, go get the gym, man, rock it out. So, like, a lot of people get the whole, oh, it's just so simple. Yeah, well, being simple is hard, right? Simple is not the same as easy. You know what's simple? You know how to win a fight? It's simple. Just punch the guy more times than he punches you so he falls asleep. It is not easy to punch somebody. It is simple to punch somebody. So, anyways, it's great stuff, man. I love it. Now, let's get to the one that Sharmy loves. That kind of the cool little magical mushroom thing kind of jumped in. So now you've got this idea, and go for it, Lazar. And by the way, well, we'll get to the next thing about this. So, and let me look around. I got to load some stuff up. So now let's say we're doing. No, Kyle, it doesn't matter whether the initial stack is. It doesn't. Here, I'm gonna do a cheap version of this. All right. I'm just gonna do a quick little just bass note thing, right? So it's like. I'll just do like that, like C up to E flat up to E bed to C, right? It doesn't matter which position it's in. It can be this. It can be that one. You got the root on top. That's a 1-5-3. Or you can do it this way. Whoops. It doesn't matter because it's still the same 3 notes in some position, because each line, it doesn't matter whether this line is on the top flute or this line is on the bottom clarinet. Good night, Matt. Yeah, Matt's so bored. He's like, I did this 3 years ago. So it works no matter what position, which is why there are no inversions in equal interval system at the treble level. It's just positions. Because if I've got a C in the bass, it doesn't matter which inversion I'm playing up here. It matters if I've got a C in the bass. Now, if I have a C with an E in the bass, that's an inversion. because the root tone is no longer, but that's a conversation for another time. Yeah, right. So yeah, no, Kyle's basically saying, doesn't matter which one's on top, as long as you write line by line, note by note, it's all going to work out. So let's get to the other part of this. So let's say everyone has the same problem when they first start EIS, which is you got all these wonky chords. Let's do this. Let's do that. Right? Let's just have some fun with this. Yeah. Matt's a teacher by trade. He tends to teach. Hold on. I have to go pee real fast. Hold this thought. Talk amongst yourselves. And then we're going to get into substitute tones. That's kind of cool. Then I'll show you a couple of examples. Oh, God. Yeah, well, Rob, here's the best part. It's the best of both possible worlds because your chords are always balanced, but you're also thinking linearly, and we'll show why. Watch this. By the way, Kyle. It's a great chord. I swear by it. And look, you're talking to a... Look, let's say a couple things. Here we go. And then we're going to do the... First of all, there's no course of study that's for everybody. How does it deal with you? Want to do close voicing? Just drop 2. It all works. Watch. Here, watch. And again, I'm just doing 3-part. This works with 4-part voice leading as well. So I'm gonna do this real fast. C, E flat. I'm gonna do this real fast over here. Okay. Let's say I'm doing C minor 9 to E flat. There, I just voice led that, right? So here's close position voice leading, right? And I think I'm pretty close with it. I like to write it out. Great. So if it's not close position, what's it going to be? 9 times out of 10, it's going to be drop 2, right, Rob? So just drop 2. Check it out. Because it's all about the line. The line is the line. Doesn't matter what octave it's in, as long as you're not doing. So here it is, drop 2. There, just to drop 2. Now let's do drop 2 and drop 2 plus drop 4. There. Now this is drop 2 plus drop 4, right? Up. There's a there's an outside octave dissonance. There it is. So now I gotta compensate. That's there it is. Yeah, this is a sketch. This is totally a sketch. A sketch. All right, so yeah, because any open voicing starts from in my world starts from closed position. You just do a drop 2 or a drop 2 plus 4 or a drop 2 plus 3. I've never used that. I use 2. So here's my thing. I'm going to tell you this. This is not a show for EIS. If you ask any of my students, Chris or Jason Poss or Matt's my furthest along. Jason got through book 3. Chris got through book 5. Matt's closing out book 12. He's going to be done pretty soon. They will tell you I do my best to convince people not to take this, not because I think it's great. It's changed the way I write music, and I'll show you some examples. But it's like, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of money. It's not a lot of money. It's not university, but, you probably spend $18,000 to finish the whole course. But, you can get through books 2 through 4 for a couple $1,000s over about 2 years or so. It's because it's not for everybody. not because it's not a great system, but you have to kind of have an open mind. You have to kind of be willing to like, and you have to play with this. You can't just learn it and think of an academic theory. It is a system of composition. It's showing you connections and it's showing you relations, and then you got to play with it. You got to map. The thing I tell everybody, and I think I've told Matt 1,000 times, is like, take this lesson and map it onto a genre. Okay, we're doing a lesson about ninth chords. Map it onto a waltz. Just do a waltz. Do a crappy waltz, but it won't be a crappy waltz. It'll be really cool. You know, Chris was like, I've got this weird 13th chord lesson that we're doing. I'm like, do a hierarchy with it. He's like, what do I do then? I'm like, I don't know, just do a hierarchy with it and start using the stuff we've learned with the stacking of the intervals. And he wrote this amazing Roque Banos, which I'll play for you actually. He wrote this amazing Roque Banos piece that was very much like a Evil Dead thing. And I save great student compositions. There aren't that many. No, check this out, man. We're gonna get to Rob, the linear part of this, the substitute tones. But listen to this thing. This is pretty bonkers. He wrote this after finishing book 3, so he had been doing this for 9 months. And this is a sketch. But if you ever heard the Evil Dead, I think he actually did a mock-up of this, although I don't have the mock-up. Have the mock-up? I don't think so. Check it out. This is bonkers good. Let me get the thing here. There we go. So this is Evil Dead from Roque Banos, him in that style. He had done book 3 out of book 12 at this point in time. And he's already sketching it. Look, there's horns, trombones, right? He's already orchestrating this. Yeah, he finished book 3. He finished book 4 because this is harmony in seconds. Actually, he has a good mock-up of this. Yes, ground mode. He's using a cool scale. I think it's scale 12 he's using. That's for another time. You can already hear the orchestration. That's going to be trumpets or there's substitute tones right there. We're gonna talk about that in a sec. It's hard. Well, it's hard on the piano sketch. Once you can tell this is gonna be. And then, and look right there. There's that stack. See what he wrote right here? 9, 7, minus 5, minus 3. That's the interval stack that he was building. So, yeah, man. So that was one thing that Chris did. I think he wrote it in like a couple of days. It was pretty fast. All right, so let's get to the second part of this, which is kind of cool, which is what Rob was kind of getting at with the some about linear stuff. So now you're doing this, and the problem is you're starting to write chords. So let's what I mean is this. Let's do a let's do this. We're gonna start with C, and we're gonna start with C minor, and I'm gonna do this. So we're starting with C minor. So the top note is gonna be a root. I'll just do C for that, okay? Position goes up, root goes down. Root goes down to a 5. Position goes up, root goes down. 5 goes to a 3, but it's going to be a -3. And we're just I mean, you can literally start writing this stuff with just numbers. But again, it's just a sketch, so watch. And then we'll stop that. Yeah, sorry. Give me a sec here. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Hold on a sec. Sorry, it's really poundy, right? Hold on, I gotta find the thing. All right, I'm sending this in through Spidif. Spidif. Oh, geez, yeah, the thing's hot. There, it's turned down 12 decibels. There it is. I knew Chris had it there. Yeah. Put the link in the thing, Chris. Because when you hear it with the orchestra, you're like, holy shit, this is totally Rock Banos, right? I think he wrote this in like 2 days. It was really fast. It's good stuff, man. Pimping you out, Chris. I was very proud of my student. That was pretty brutal. Yeah, you know what? Frick, we're doing it right now. We're doing it. We're showing the sketch into this because why not? So it's composer.de. There's my boy. There's my man. Where's your music? Is it this one? There it is. This is a good mock-up too. Right? That was that piano sketch. Now he scores double octave doublings. This is so good. Ready? Here's that groove. Great feel. Put a drink to this, Chris. Jerry Goldsmith, Chris, with the clarinet. Is this scale 12, Chris? Is this the one you like? Is it scale 11 or scale 12 you love? This is such noir. Yes. Yeah, man. That's good stuff, man. That's another good cue. I remember that one too. Yeah, oh, that's bass in motion, man. So let me go back to this. We just told all the EIS. So do I ever go back and reanalyze what I did for more conventional? Yeah, and it drives me nuts because I end up putting a lot of confusing terms to fit into a conventional theory, and it drives me nuts. Like for example, okay, ready? Like there's this chord that I'll play. So it's a B flat dominant 7 over C, and I call that a 13th chord. And my buddies in jazz rock, it's not a 13th chord. It's a flat 5. No, it's not. It's a flat 13. And they're like, no, it's not, because there's no 5 there. And I'm like, yeah, there's a flat, there's a minus 7 and 9 and 11 and a minus 13. It's a built partial. And they're like, you know, and they're like, well, it can't be that because the flat 5 has to resolve to this. And then I'm like, see, now you're making it hard. Like, this is not hard. Like, so like that sounds great. That's literally a C root with a B flat dominant 7 resolving up an E2 to a D dominant, a D major ninth. And everyone's like, well, it's a harmonic substitute. And I was like, dude, it doesn't fucking matter, man. It doesn't matter. It sounds good. I've got a pattern because, and there's in about lesson 4, Spud says, Chris, you got to help me out with this. If Matt's off to bed, he says, like, it is a foolish thing to argue with someone who knows nothing what they're talking about. And it's not that we have such a superior thing. It's like, I'm not thinking about things the way you are. Like there's a chord right here that I'm playing that Chris uses all the time. C root. Let me get this right. He's playing a G sharp minor triad over a C root, right? And everyone's like, oh, you're polytonal. It's like, no, we're not. What do you mean we're not? And then we'll voice it in and out of that. It's not. We're using a scale called 12, which is the harmonic minor scale, and we're playing a 3-part upper partial. We're playing a 9, 11, and a 13 above. Or we're playing a whatever it is, like a 7, 9, 13, or 9, 11, 13 above that, above the C. And everyone's like, oh, it's a polytonal. It's like, no, it's not. It's just that scale that we're using. We get these upper partials, and we're playing a triad. And Chris used that a lot in the piece we just played, the Roque Bonos piece. So this is why I like this too, because it's not a system of theory, it's a system of composition, and it gives you ideas, and you don't sweat the small stuff. Speaking of sweat the small stuff, let's play around with this here for a sec, all right? So now we got these things, because this is turning into like a big old session. Why not? You guys and girls can play with this thing right now, this whole 1-5-3 thing, just build triads. It's modal thinking, but the other thing is this: every root has its own scale. So you're not thinking in a mode in terms of this chunk of music is all going to use the white notes. That's a mode. But you can if you want to, or you can just say, I'm just going to use roots from the white notes and I'll put whatever chords I want to under it. Doesn't matter. Or I choose to restrict myself to a modal environment. And not restricting is a bad thing. Yeah, Lazar, man, it ain't happening this week, brother. Like, it'll be next week. But next week, Brad's coming on, and we can do some fun little roasts, you know? Yeah, man. Look, dude, look at the title, man. It said EIS. I was like, this is a thing. I'm doing this. People have been banning this about for like a year. All right, so look, let's say, for example, I'm doing this thing where I'm doing a C to E flat to G to C, okay? This is the other cool thing, and Charmy loves doing this, and so do I, and I'll show you a couple of examples of this. I screwed everything up. Hold on a sec here. All right. Root's going up, so the bass goes down. So that's going from 1 down to 5. Root goes up, so bass goes down. So 5 goes to 3, and we're down a fifth. Oh God, hold on a sec here. We're down to fifths, which means up a fourth, so I have to go down, right? Let me think about that. Yeah. There's. Oh shit! I gotta. Hold on a sec here. I gotta do this. Yeah, get the JD, brother. I'm bringing the bass up here, even though it's too high, because the way this little rule works, you have to move the bass to the shortest distance. So now I'm doing triads today. I'm not doing 4-note stacks, because 4-note stacks open up one strange little can of worms. That's not a big deal. It's when you move by diatonic fourths or fifths, you have to do a little bracketing thing. It's not hard at all, but it's like we're dealing with triads right now, because if you think about it, up an E5, so 3 goes down to 1. Good night, Chris. Good seeing you, brother. Chris and I we caught up. We haven't talked in like 6 months. It was good to see him. He's doing well, man. He just wrote like 2 hours of music in 6 weeks. That's everything, but yeah, it's just really fast. Don't worry, man. We're gonna, so all right, so check it out. 1 drops to 5. I'm being simple here. This is just a little bit of a cool overview. All right, so 1 goes to 5, 5 goes to 3. One. Notice, and you start to like sketch this stuff out, and it's like, oh my God, it's so easy. Like, I always want my triads balanced, right? I always can vertically check 5, 3, 1. Awesome, I got all 3 notes. Good, right? 3, 1, 5. This is what the first 2 lessons teach you. All this crap. And then 1, 5, 3, and you can check vertically and horizontally. But check it out, Rob, my buddy Brad has been talking about doing AI stuff. Quartal shit's easy. It's the same rules as this. That's the lesson for another time. Here, I'll just show you. Ready? All right. So instead of doing a triad, we're going to do a quartal chord. So ready? We're going to do, and I'll be really simple here. The same rules apply. Watch this. C. Let's say we're doing like Mixolydian. Okay. So -7. Below the -7 is a. Actually, I got to do it higher. I got to do a. It's 10. I'm gonna. Everyone's gonna be like, well, what are you doing? There's a 7, and why is it not the third? The 7 unlocks the upper partials. So watch this. So here's my stack, right? Okay, there's my quartal stack, right, Rob? I've got a C and I got a 4, a -7, and a 10, right? That's a 3-part quartal shit. Watch, we're gonna do the same thing. Base goes up, position goes down. Base goes up, position goes down. Right? This one here, base goes up, position goes down. But my 3-note structure is a quartal structure. Base note goes up, position goes down. The 4 is the bottom of the stack, -10, -7, -4, so it has to roll back up to the top. Base goes up, position goes down. Boy, my students hate me doing this. I'm always base because in book 2, poor Jason he had to have me hear this. No, wait, I messed that up. Base goes up, position goes down. See what happens? I'm at the bottom of the stack. -10 is the top stack. So a lot of guys will do this in the corner just to remind them of what the stack looks like. They'll do this. And they'll be like, okay, that's my stack. So that, you know, as my notes, okay, so now let's do it. -10. We're in C, -10 is an E flat. We're on an E flat. What's the E flat -7? The E flat -7, which is a minor 7th. So there's that. And then I get to an E, which is the 4th, which is that. Okay, now we go here. -7 of a C is B flat. 4 of an E flat is an A flat. And then the -10 of an E is an F sharp, right? No, it's a G, right? No. Give me a sec here. I haven't done this in a while. Oh, I'm an idiot. Yep, that's right. I was right. Good. Whew. Haven't done this in a while. I was like, oh my god. C, F, -10 is an E flat. So -10 is a F again. And a -7 of an E is a D. All right, cool. Ready? Here we go. There. Rob, I just did voice leading 4-part harmony. So I use the same rules I used from lesson 4 of book 2. There it is. That's why this is great. This later on when you do polytonal stuff and you do sectional voicing, I do the same thing from book 2. Like literally, you do book 2 and you actually know the rest of EIS. It's just a matter of digging into it. This seems to be a little simple. All right, man, then go for it, Zach. You go do it, man. It is simple. It is simple. It's not hard. Everyone makes it harder than it seems to be. Very Jerry, right? Because guess what I'm going to do? Watch this. I'm going to take the stack. Right? You start to break that shit out into ostinatos, and all of a sudden, right? I mean, I literally just took this thing and just made it horizontal, so it's like, you know, yeah. So now look. So Rob, the same position change thing works for 4th chords. It's all there. You know, it's the same 6 rules kind of thing. Is the stack just a choice? Yeah, you just choose a scale. You build your stacks over the scale because the scale is intervals, not scale tones. And so, you know, for example, that right there is a C, F, B flat, E. That's Mixolydian. So you can do the same thing and do all that stuff, right? That's. I just went from a Mixolydian to a major over these root tones to a Lydian. Sorry, to a major. So I did Mixolydian to major. Yeah. That's why you have hours of fun with this. Oh, let's do this. Let's finish up with this one. This is the one that Charm made me promise to do this one because he's good. 1, 5, 3, 1. Okay, there's that voicing right there, right? All right, 5, 3, 5, 3, 1, 5. There's good voice leading. Yeah, I mean, it's not that. Yeah, you. That's a deeper discussion, Rob. You can basically do anything. You can't disrupt tertiary harmony without knowing what you're doing, which calls into substitute tones. Okay, you can't blur tertiary harmony triads and thirds without knowing what you're doing with, which is involving substitute tones, which we'll get to in a sec. 5, 3. Oh shoot! Sorry, I didn't do it. So there you go. I want you to see how fast I'm voice leading. That's so fast for voice leading. Great. So that's that. Okay. Cool. Now check this out. I'm gonna stuff that. I'm gonna shove this over here. This is what we get to. So now check it out. I've got this really kind of just weenie voice leading thing, right? Da 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 da. Good, Lazar, go for it. The problem is this is all just still chords. We want linear motion. What you can do is any of these notes can be substituted with another tone. And all a substitute is you are swapping the tone for that. So what I'm going to do now, and I think I did this. I hinted at this in one of my Farkle Fridays from Theory to Composition. There's an EIS thing. You can substitute the following intervals: 2 for 1, 7 for 1, 2 for 3, 4 for 3, 6 for 5. So what I'm going to do is start doing this. Right? And then I'm going to start substituting 5 for 6 in little patterns, just little motion patterns, right? Like that, right? Just little things here and there. I'm gonna substitute a 2 for 1. Just create a little motion, right? Just little motions. See what I'm doing? I'm doing these little tiny neighbor notes, just having some fun with it. Just and look, this is a 6/5. We're in G, so 6 to 5. Oh, look, starting to get a little suspension over there. See, look, that E wants to go down to the D because I have good voice leading. I've got that little tie there. This is just the beginning of this. 1 to 2 to 1 to 7. That goes to 5. Yeah, and all of a sudden I've got these kind of little like neighboring note kind of things. So just listen to this. This is just, I'm coming to. Well, all of a sudden I'm starting to get little delicate neighbor note kind of things, you know? Substitute tones. Well, that's kind of pretty. It's kind of cool. So then you combine that with these and you start to get some real linear motion in this. All right, now you might say, oh, well, okay, well, how do we use this? I'm glad you asked. Hold on, in case this one's pinging me. I love my daughter. I got this email from school today, and it was like, be aware that there was an incident at the cafeteria. Police were called. Nobody has been injured, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, like 20 minutes before I get to Catherine, she goes, LOL, guess what? There was a big brawl at school. I was like, rock on. I was like, are you hurt? She's like, nah. I was like, nice. That's my girl. I was like, I'd like to see someone take you on. It's going to be bad, man. All right. So what does this mean? Well, what happens when you start to take these ideas and maybe you look at something like this? This is a sketch. And if you look, I've got all these numbers right here. And I'm moving, don't worry about these scales, these are scale numbers. I'm moving A up to C, C down to B, B up to D. I'm doing this base change. As I'm doing the base change, these numbers up here are helping to make sure that I am voice leading correctly. And I'm doing resolutions, which are these non-chord tones. So now what I've got is I've got a sketch of these chord stacks that are based on triads, and then I'm moving around here and there. All right? And I repeat stuff inside the other. And then here, this 3PH4 is three-part harmony and fourths, which is from book 4. And when you get to the B section, I want you to look down here. You'll see I've got these little substitute tones. I'm playing a C sharp, which is the 5, and I'm just going 5 for 5, 5 for 5, 5 for 5. These are little decorations, and when you hear it, you get this. That's these two rules basically just being played around. There's a couple other things that I'm doing, but not that much. It's a lot of this book 2 kind of stuff. Lazar, was there music coming through on that one? So, you'll hear Craig Sharmat in that Magic Mushroom Kingdom where he did the that little ba-da-dum, that was just those substitute tones. He was playing some sort of C major triad, and he was doing 5-6-5, 5-6-5, right? The intervals, and then he went to A flat down in E4, and then ba-da-da-da-da-da, which is 8-9-8, 8-9-8. So this is very simple stuff. And what it allows are these little decorations, little moments right there. So let me kind of show you another example of one that I did that I was pretty proud of. What's up, motherfuckers? Pencil and paper for the win. So this is out of order in this way. I had to write a cue for Rob's gonna love this. He's heard this before, but now we're gonna get into this. I had to write a cue for a video game company, and I long story, I needed menu music, and I was like, I can't. He wanted Mass Effect, and I couldn't do Mass Effect, and I was like, I'm trying. I was like, all I'm hearing is Star Trek, like the Next Generation, Star Trek Enterprise. So I was like, all right, let's play with this a little bit. And I think I started down here in this chunk, right? Can I draw? Can I highlight? Can I do a pointer? Can I do anything? I started right down around here. Right, which is the there you go. Started right down around here, right? So I had this. Let me load up. Let me just activate. So I had this idea. I have this little B tremolo down here. Oh wait, you can't see it. You can see it. Can you? Yeah, you can see it. So down here, I've got this little B tremolo. Right, this little thing down here that was tremolo in the violas, and then I had this tremolo. I have the root, and then I have the 3 and the 5, which is the. And I did substitute tones. I just went 3 to 2 to 3 back and forth, and then I wrote a little melody over it. And then I repeated it again. And if you'll notice, I'm writing down my root tones, and I'm moving all over the place. B root tone to a G root tone. And I wrote some more stuff here. Look, I sketched this out, and then I added some stuff. But if you'll notice, everything are these little substitute tones, meaning I'm at a D, and then I go to C sharp, back to a D, up to an E. These are just substitute tones. And I'm not worrying about making lines. I'm worried about what intervals am I playing above my root. I'm playing the 3 and the 5. I'm playing the 4 and the 6. I'm playing the 5 and the 7. Cool. I'm playing the 5 and 7. Maybe there's an opportunity for the third to show up. Maybe the third can start on the second and move up to it. That's the kind of feel of it. And notice I'm orchestrating as I sketch. 4-stave sketch, I can do a lot with a 4-stave sketch. I've written full Star Wars sketches from a 4-stave sketch, and I can play one for you. This one's a little more Star Trek. Writing down the horn and stuff. Let me see what, give me a sec. Sarah sent me, yeah. And this is Star Trek, so it's a little bit more TV-ish. I had this, this is all fuck all the things that I did. If you'll notice here, I'm doing a little sequence where I'm just descending downwards, just little architectural sketches. Like that arrow down reminded me, like, don't go up, like get everything down. And I'm just all showing you this little pattern. I've got this D to A, to C sharp to E, to B to G. I'm just getting this little in and out thing going. Yeah, dude, look, paper is so beautiful. Here, this one I'm pretty proud of. I took a harmony in 6th. You can see I've got this harmony in 6th stack up here. This is a bit from book 3. And I broke it down. I made this a line, so it went ba da 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 da. So I took this stack and made it a series of lines. But you can see here, you'll hear the chords that I'm doing. I'm writing the intervals down. 7 is substituted to 6. 5 is substituted to the sharp 11. 3 is substituted to 3. 9 is up to the 9. So I'm getting a feel of these non-chord tones. And you're just going to hear throughout this entire thing all these little substitute tones, like ba-da-da-da-da-da. So it's a pretty cute. I actually really like it a lot. And it's got Rob will appreciate this. I use Hollywood strings, so there's that tape noise in it, and I normalize the hell out of it. So it's like you can hear all the hiss of the tape, which I think is so super cool. So here it is. That's the first 2 bars. And then I repeat it. There's the flute. You can hear all these substitute tones. Like here, the bar right here, the horn is doing a C to a D to a C against a C root. That's a substitute tone. I'm doing a 1 to 2 to 1. You know, here I'm doing a 7 to 1 to 2. Or no, actually this is going to an E flat, so it's a 5 to 6 to 7. Just very simple. Now this is obviously a very slow and kind of stately piece, but all these concepts from EIS are there, and I think the piece moves quite well, and it certainly, you know, hits the yeah, this is the MIDI rip from the project that I played, so you can see it's all messed up because you got to do the thing with the doubling, and you know, I got to have staccatos layered in, this, that, and the other. So you know, that's that. That is how did I approach the modulation sequence at the end? Let's find out, Rob. Which one? The let's go back. Rob, I'm gonna play it again, and I'm gonna blow up the time. You tell me when it is. It's probably I'll skip to your time. Where's the spot, Rob? With the here? Right there, that dun, right? Is that where I did it? And that was, I won't play it here, but that was the spot where it went. Dun, here. Yeah, which was like a flat to D, right? But okay. Oh, you mean that one, right? That's probably where it is. No, I'll talk about it, man. It's cool. Oh yeah, right there, right? Let's look at what I did. I took shit-ass notes on this. I wrote this thing in an hour. You're gonna get pissed when I say this. I wrote this in an hour. When I say I wrote it in an hour, I'm saying I wrote it and mocked it up and shipped it in an hour. Yeah, it's fast. Oh, I know why. Because look, because Rob, this is watch this. This is a composing thing. I know Jerry Goldsmith likes motion in major thirds, right? So look at this first one that I did. I was on a B and I went down to a G, right? That was in the beginning of this cue, right? So I knew I was doing a major third thing, and I was like, well, let me bring that major third again, but let me do a bridging chord in between. Let me put something in the middle, and I'm like, well, I like Alan Silvestri, and Alan Silvestri works in minor thirds. And I was like, wait a second, if I go from C here, right? You guys can all see this. Everyone can see this. If I go from C here to an E flat, that's connecting to this E natural, because in EIS, E1s are very strong motions. Oh, curious, when do I follow rules? Well, this is the other thing, which is, you know, it's not a dick statement to say this. You always want to be transcribing and kind of listening to and plunking along with the genres that you like. So I listened to a couple of Enterprise cues and a couple of Star Trek The Next Generation cues to start to get to some feels. And I was like, oh, okay, Ron does do a lot of third stuff because Jerry does a lot of third stuff. So let me do some third stuff. Which is why I'm having so much trouble doing my own stuff, because I'm like, I'll do something and I'm like, well, I like this. I'm like, yeah, well, so does Jerry and Ron Jones. And so I'm just lifting him. When I follow rules, there's one thing that I do like, which is if I do a chord root tone motion, like again, that major third. So I did something where I was like, oh, I'm moving from here to here with a major third. I like bringing that relationship in later with a bridging chord. So maybe I'll like go, let me get a thing. Let's say I'm going from like an E, a C. Let's say I'm doing like a C to an E kind of motion, right? Let's say I'm doing something where it's like, whatever. Later on, I might be like, oh, let me do an E, but I'll jump up a half step and resolve downwards. And what I'm doing basically is I'm adding a little bridging chord in there to kind of like give a bit of variety. What's up, Grim? Yeah, you're in time for a little bit. What I'm trying to do is almost like paint in the numbers. Like the first one is the 3-point shot, and the second one is a fake dribble in and then a 2-point shot, where I'm bridging my goal. You also have to take the temp of the room. What does the cue need to work? Well, that's yes, Lucille, absolutely. That's a whole different conversation. I think that we get so fixated with circle of fifths and diatonic system modality that we forget that, in my opinion, it's about the jump from root tone to root tone. And do we want that? The bigger the jump, the more dramatic it is. And do we want to give the ability to fill it in? I mean, you could literally fill in. That's a 5-1. You could fill that in if you wanted with right. You like, you know, you could just fill that in with like just this chromatic or some sort of pattern root tones, you know. So, but I think what I like about EIS is the couple of things. Well, there's so much conversation about this. Oh, we haven't even scratched the surface yet, but Spud has a big thing about root tone patterns, and he's like, we are pattern machines. So, for example, that little boss battle I did, that's a 2-bar pattern. I did A to C, and then I was like, let me repeat that, but up an E2, or you know, that kind of thing. Well, that's a 4-bar pattern that's very, very repeatable and understandable and things like that. So, you know, the idea being, it's not about the theory, it's about what patterns can we do. Sometimes the patterns are diatonic. That's a diatonic pattern. Sometimes the patterns are connections of intervals. Oh. Sorry. Tritone down, tritone down, tritone down. Right? Rob is like, it's super melody driven. Really, it is, because it's linear, but all harmony is related to melody. Of course it is. Oh, or is it? Rob knows which little 3-note lick I'm playing from Jerry. Is that really harmony? That's 3 equal interval relations, which is from book 11, which is when you are but Rob, I'm being a snit to you, Rob. Like, let me tell you something. Rob knows his shit. Like, this is not me like getting at Rob. We've been friends for years, and he knows his jazz theory. Like, he's tight. All harmony is related to melody, absolutely, because melody is linearly exploded harmony. That's what melody is. And accompaniment patterns are linearly exploded harmony, which is the central tenet of EIS. It's like, it's not a static block. It can be if you want it to be. You can do, you know, you can do these static harmonies, of course, but you can also do the, I see what Rob's getting at. Rob's like, the harmony generated by the system is very related to the melody you're working on. Yes. Hold on a second. We're gonna close out a Sibelius. I'm gonna get to what everyone loves to see me do, which is like fuck around on the piano. And I'll say this. This is not me being an apologist or whatever. It's like, dude, we just went through like kind of a chunk of 2 lessons of EIS, which is, you know, a rather deep where the fuck is my because I blew everything up. All right, now I'm going back down to 100%. You're all fucked now because display settings. Rob, we're gonna answer that question and have some fun with it, because scale, I want this to be 125 because I need to see my keyscape again. There we go. Now you're all screwed. All right, let me answer. Let me. It's not answering. Let me. Let's discuss. This is the fun nerdy stuff. This is the good stuff about like being like composer nerds. So he like not argue, but like delve into, you know, the nuances of this stuff. You know, I like Windows 11. All right, so the harmony generated by the system is very related to the melody you're working on. It can be. I think it's related, but let's be more specific. Is it the scale I'm working on, or is it the intervallic shapes the melody is giving me? Because if I'm doing Lydian, there's an intervallic shape of a tritone. Now that might influence not only my harmony, but my root tone motions, right? That feels better than... That didn't make sense. Why? Because my melody was not implying an intervallic root tone motion. So it's like, it can, but it's not as simple as, well, I'm playing this scale, so I have to move in that root, because... Well, Lazar, it's good having you here, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. So right there, I was playing a C major triad. So that melody is implying a certain harmony, and yet I'm now going to A flat to C to A to C, and then to... So I'm not really I'm leaving. Boy, if we got computer programming, I'm like leaving this object and going back to different objects, you know. But and then this is this is why it drives people nuts with EIS, because they're like, well, then what are the rules? You can just do whatever you want. It's like, yeah. So these are the tools, and now you have to generate taste. And how do you generate taste? Well, you have to generate taste by doing a combination of things. You have to listen very intently to what you're writing, and you have to say, well, you have to come up with a series of unifying principles. And the overtone series is a unifying principle. Those are the first set of intervals. That means that scale, I know, Betty, which is a Mixolydian, has... Yeah. Oh, yeah, Rob, you're right. I know, right. Rob, this is like, what is it? Like, writing about music is like dancing about architecture. The root and the original stack are kind of the masters. They are what are considered the chord tones. So let's say I'm playing a D dominant ninth. C dominant ninth. Anything that I do, if I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this little thing, people are always like, well, why is the sixth not a chord tone? Like, because it's not based upon the overtone series, which is 3, 5, 7, 9. That's the overtone series. The sixth doesn't show up. So that must mean the sixth is a substitute. So absolutely right, like your tertiary stack. And then people were like, well, what about harmony and fifths? Well, harmony and fifths is just skipping the tertiary. So you're still doing it. You're just blowing it out more. You know, you're just making it bigger. So. So there's a little smooth. Oh, Lazar, that was said by, I believe, Elvis Costello. It's a really famous quote. Writing about music is like dancing about architecture. But Rob, what I like about it is this. It's a series of 4 to 6 very simple rules that with very few modifications can take you through triadic harmony, chordal harmony, quintal harmony, secondary harmony, clusters. Grip shows up. This is like, I used to be in sales. This is why you don't have the wife come in at the end or the husband come in at the end, because you spent like an hour describing it. Oh, it's just classical harmony. No, all right, dude, fine. Whatever. I'm not mad at you, but it's like, oh, it's just classical harmony. Not really. No, it's actually not. It's completely different. So, yeah, it's different because it's not rooted in traditional diatonic harmony. It's rooted in equal interval. This is why all of us teachers over at Equal Interval, this sounds so smug when I say that. Look, I'm not in being an asshole with it, but it's like, literally I showed an hour of like half of one lesson and half one lesson. It was like, oh, it's so simple. I'm like, all right. Like, if it's so simple, then, you know, then you use it, you know, like it's just fine. But I'll say this, I write a lot of shit that's like, fairly complex that is also very musical, and I use it doing this. So, all right, cool. Okay, it's safe. No, and the only reason I'm not bothered by it. It's, yeah. So Brad and I were talking about it. You can actually put this into an AI script and you can start to mess with stuff. There's actually rules that you can do. And I was like talking to Brad about generative music through Weiss for games. And I was like, you could actually start to stab at this, like a la iMuse style. You know what I'm saying? From like Secret of Monkey Island. You can actually, you know, do this. So it is classical theory, less steps. And yeah, so Rob, we need to have a conversation offline because I've been picking at this for the last year or so of like, I think you could use this to make generative transitional material. So, you know, it's just classical theory. It's the same. Well, everyone, you know, and by the way, to give full credit where credit's due, this is not the only thing that's out there. Hindemus theory is very similar. There's a couple of EIS graduates, Frank and they started the multi-interval musical interval theory academy. That's a really good program. I don't want to say it's in a bad way because like they've definitely adapted these ideas and kind of morphed them, but there's a lot of overlap and it's a really good system. So that's what I want to say. I want to be like, oh, they still have like, no, it's fine. It's like, it's not fine. Like, it is fine. Sorry. Not like, oh, they still, what I mean is they were both graduates of EIS and they found ways to kind of further develop EIS and do a little bit more contemporary stuff with it, but while still getting a lot of these precepts still going. So they're doing a variation of this that's really good. Like it's, you know, a really solid program. So it's like, you know, it's all out there, but I just liked it because I just like things being simple. And when I saw the writing of the intervals and being like, oh, I don't have to worry about the key anymore. I have to worry about what intervals are above the root tone. And you know, I'm always having a 3, 5, and a 7, or a 3, 5, and a 1, or a 7, because a 7 can substitute for a 1. And it just makes composing and sketching so easy. I mean, and you saw Chris's sketch with that little piano thing. You're like, oh, okay, I get what he's doing. But then he blew it out to orchestra in like an afternoon. And it was a good orchestral writing because his intervals are being covered and they're not being doubled excessively and all this stuff. So, yeah, man, it's good stuff. And I just like, and again, this is not a shill. This is cool. I talk about this a lot. And someone's like, what is EIS? I'm like, here it is. Look, these are two core tenets of it, which is change of position, irregardless, what my buddy Avish says, irregardless of the bass motion, and the ability to do substitute tones, which create these little neighbor motions, and that's there's, you know, change of position and stuff like that. But you know, it's fun, it's different. It's very freeing for me. I think I write good music with it. I hope I do. The hardest thing now is I'm trying to write my own music and I'm not trying to lift stuff. It's like Spud was an arranger. He was a composer too, and actually a very good composer, but he's also an arranger, which meant his job was to be like, oh, right, this is the song, I'm going to adapt it for this. So it's great for TV composers. When TV composers are, right, I got to do the Kojak thing. Let me listen to it. Got it. I'm going to do this. We can just go. So now I'm in the spot where I'm like, I got to write my own thing. And I'm like, what is my own thing? And I'm like, oh, I love Jerry and I love Joe Hisashi and I love Hitoshi Sakamoto. And I'm like, okay, but am I doing my stuff? Or am I doing pastiche stuff? So do I think it's possible to friendly? I absolutely think it is. And I'll tell you why, because I know someone who did it. Let's see if I can find her. No, it's a matter. I'm reading a book called The Creative Habit, which is a conversation for another time and a really fun little Farkle Friday, where this beautiful woman named Twyla Tharp, who's a really top-notch New York choreographer, she says, somebody that will say something like, look, what I'm writing has been done before. And she'll say literally, honey, it's all been done before. Don't worry about it. Just say something from the heart and be authentic, you know? Yeah, which he lifted from Rachmaninoff. So, Rob, listen to this woman, Mary Eckler. She is an EIS graduate who's a jazz pianist, and she trained the drills that we did as a composer all the way into piano. So, hopefully it's her. Hold on a second here. I want to make sure she's not that she's the right one. Yeah, so you can, but it's oh yeah, it is her. All right, let's listen to some of her stuff. That's her. Yep. I knew her from before. Yeah, she's really good. So she's a jazz piano player, Rob, who literally graduated EIS, and oh, it sounds similar. Let's see if I can find any of her stuff. Beautiful woman, very elegant. But I have some of her stuff that she did when she was doing jazz, and she's like, yeah, she's going pop. Her stuff from Book 11 is like bonkers good. Like she'll do these crazy jazz improvs, and you're like, what are you doing? You know? Just me and my piano. Nice, Grim Silverado. Oh, there's a song of pain that no one's ever heard but you knew. All I ever wanted was a truth. Yeah, it's people talk about EIS, the woman who runs it, who's Spud's daughter, Lilith, is adorable and I love her. And she says, oh, it allows you to create truly original music, and you can. But my thought is it's more like it just allows you to never have or to not worry about getting writer's block. And it's like I don't know. Let me see here. Let me see if any of these are jazz things, because she's a really skilled jazz player. Here we go. She heard the doorbell ring. Oh, Rob, there's a little Joni Mitchell here going on. She hurried down the stairs and switched the light. On the porch, a priest was standing next to him. A silver badge was shining in the night. Her hands began to tremble. She knew something wasn't right. He said that he was sorry, and then it all became a blur. Good stuff. From that moment. I also know that Craig Sharmat will solo using EIS in his new Gypsy Jazz stuff. He'll do some really cool stuff with that. But anyways, yeah, probably. Yeah, it's a good point, Mr. Drummer. Like, is it like original in terms of like I've grown as a composer and I have more vocabulary, or yeah, there's a Joni Mitchell thing to it. Rob, that's a good point. Is there a danger to watch out for in the EIS sound? Yes. This is the danger of EIS, which is you get in the book 2 drills, you're basically yeah, send the email, Kyle, and send it to Lilith and Glenn. Those are the two guys and girls who run it. So Rob, here's the problem. In the beginning, the drills that you do break you out of circle of fifths. So you're doing lots of stuff where it's like you're doing all these progressions in all 12 keys. And you're like, oh my God, I can totally voice you through any chord progression. And then you start writing music that's like, you know, and there's like no tonality, and you're like, oh, I can just voice lead. It's super cool. And then you have to have what we like to call restraint, and you have to be like, all right, stop, like save this. And there's a reason for it actually, because book 2, Spud was like the hardest problem people have with transitions and endings and intros, which is where you are not in a key. Right? Like, you know, all that kind of stuff. You're not in a key, you're just doing these kind of figures and you're moving all over the place. So Spud was like, well, let me teach everyone how to do the transitions first. The problem is everyone was like, oh yeah, the transition is the music. And I'm like, no. This is your ear training. Like you can use it, you know, like kind of, I had this one great piece where it's like, this was a little piece for like an ice planet kind of thing. This is literally from like less than 14 in book 2, whatever it is. And it was literally an E, a C minor 9th, voice led down to an E major 9th. And I did that, which is really cool. But but I sat on that for a while because I just wanted that kind of mysterious thing. I wasn't like, yeah, right, like, you know, I know I want to reveal an instrument. Well, all you do is, and then this is the I did that thing about the generating a 2-bar idea. I got that from EIS. So I'm like, just start with 2 chords, right? Oh, sorry. Right. So I just took a 2-bar thing, which is very jazz, and I just transposed it up, you know? Yeah, man. Yeah, Lazar, go to bed, man. We'll do you next week, I promise, man. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for making it, man. So, but you know what the other thing is? This is not turning into like a whole, you should do EIS. Like, be inspired. Be inspired by the fact that these things are simpler than you think. Just play with that triad idea, right? Just like, oh, you know, 5, 3, 1. Right? There probably will be a roast. Brad and I are going to get together and we're going to fart around. And we're going to basically do, Brad's calling it campfire chat. Well, what else when you do campfire chat? You bring your harmonica and you jam for a bit. So there's probably going to be some roasting. But anyways, listen, I got to wrap up because it's 5 o'clock. I promised my wife some quality time and it's time for me to go do my thing. But listen, yeah, but hopefully you guys had some fun getting a little taste of what EIS could be and is, but also just thinking about the fact of like, as a composer, the theory is important. It is. It gives you a vocabulary, but also to think about, yeah, Grim, share your piece. I owe Lazara a piece too, and then Grim, share your piece too. But also, Rob, it's this way of like, don't think about, well, you already know, you already are very jazz. You move in and out of keys, no problem. But it's like, I love the idea of like, where's my horizontal root motion going? Whatever you want to do. And what intervals am I building over the root? And when I build those intervals, what at this stage of the game, lesson 5, book 2, or whatever it is, lesson 1, book 2, which is lesson 5 all in, what triads am I implying, triadic structures, and then what substitute tones can I do? You know, that's a really nice way of thinking about it. So I don't know, it's fun and it's cool. It's cool. I mean, you can do some really wild stuff. You know, that little boss battle cue is I like that cue. It's pretty good. And I'll definitely tell you, Rob, my melodic writing, not my thematic writing. I'm not a good thematic writer, but my melodic writing has definitely gotten better from EIS because there's a way you can melodic write called change of position, which allows you to kind of do all the whole like all those like huge jumps that like are like the Jerry Goldsmith stuff. Like there's a way called change of position where you're like, oh, okay, that allows me to kind of figure out what I'm doing and control it. Anyways, that's good for everybody. We did 2 hours and I drank a lot and now I'm going to go be a husband to my wife. Hey, listen, thanks for giving me the time for this. I know this is a little bit of a different one, you know, just kind of more of a I don't want to say a pitch. It's not a pitch. It's kind of a, people have been asking what I do and this is what I do. So there you go. But I hope you had fun and you can take that lesson, those lessons, and have some fun with it. And in the meantime, I will see you guys the next Farkle Friday. Yeah, it's been a fun, yeah, exactly. Don't worry, you got the other thing going. We'll do a Farkle Friday next week, and that's going to be probably a me and Brad hang, which is good. We got to get Rob to come in for one of those Rob, you will come in for a Brad hang. You will do that. We will do a triple hang and talk about Jerry Goldsmith. That's what we'll do. All right, listen, everybody. God bless you all. Thank you for giving me your time. I hope you guys had some smiles and some fun and you laughed a little bit and learned some cool stuff. And I'll see you guys next week for Farkle Friday. Everybody, God bless. Have a great night. I'll see you next week.